Hey there, welcome into a late night edition of the PowerMizzou.com dance class. Conzo Martin's post game down in Auburn just finished up. Final Auburn 88, Mizzou 82. We might just call this the Sharif Cooper show. We thought that was going to be the case coming in since he became eligible at Auburn 6 games ago. He's been averaging 21 points, 9 assists. Basically, everything Auburn does goes through him. We said on the pregame show, look, he's going to make some plays. He's going to get his points. You can't let him completely take over. He completely took over. I mean, Sharif Cooper was on the floor for 28 minutes. When he was on the floor, Auburn outscored Missouri by 20 points. In the 12 minutes he was off the floor, Missouri had a 14-point edge in that game. That Missouri made a run late in the first half, early in the second half, where they turned basically a 8-point deficit into about a 7-point lead. They did that because Sharif Cooper wasn't on the floor. That's it. I mean, it's that simple. When he was on the bench, Missouri had a chance. When he was in the game, Missouri did not have a chance. And let me just say right off the top, because I've seen some of the comments here. I've seen more of them on Twitter and on our message board. Yes, the officiating was dreadful. There were times that it appeared you were not allowed to guard Sharif Cooper. That said, there were some bad calls the other way. Jeremiah Tillman was 3 for 11 from the free throw line. Mark Smith and Xavier Pinson combined to go 4 for 22. I think the refs can be bad without having lost the game or changed the outcome. 44 free throws is a ton for Auburn. Obviously, look, that should never really happen in any game. Missouri shot 27, which is really a pretty high number. I don't know how many of those 44 came when Missouri was trying to foul and kind of stretch the game late. Let's say maybe 8 of them. So even still, Auburn shoots 36 free throws. It's a ton. I don't want to make this a referendum on officiating. It generally sucks every game. It sucked tonight. This isn't news. I'm of the belief it did not change the outcome. I understand some of you guys watching will feel differently about it. But that was a subject that came up when we talked to Conzo Martin. And so every time we do this show, the first thing we do is play you coach's post game. So we're going to do that real quick. It's short. I'd say 6-7 minutes, something like that. We'll play Conzo. Then we will come back and talk to you guys about it.
Hanzo, you talk a lot about defending without fouling. Just how do you feel like your guys played defense tonight?
With 44 free throws, we didn't do a great job. Give credit to Sharif Cooper. He's a talented young player. He does a great job of getting in the lane. He puts you in tough positions. He even does a good job for his size at finishing at the rim with bigger guys. And he keeps his head up, so he's always looking for his guys, even when he's attacking the rim. We allowed 21 free throws. And again, I'll go back and watch film, but those are fouls. I'm not saying the officials didn't do a good job, but man, that's 44 free throws, a lot to beat any team on the road. And again, but we got to take ownership of things. You got to keep him in front of you, make him work, make him go over the top of you. He did a great job again, getting downhill.
Gabe?
Yeah, Conzo, I know, Jeremiah has had some struggles at the line at times. Is there anything other than just kind of staying consistent and continuing to work on it? Because probably more of an issue tonight than it had been at previous times.
I think it's reps in his routine. And again, he of course, he's more efficient in working on them at home because you have access to facilities. And not to say that's the reason why he missed shots. I mean, 3 for 11, I think he's a better free throw shooter than that. They just didn't go for him. And give those guys credit, making them work to get the ball, but just didn't go for him tonight.
Conzo, you mentioned a little bit about it there, but just what was your plan going in to try and stop Sharif Cooper? Was it just to limit him, or was there a guy you wanted on him, or just how did you see it from that perspective?
Oh, well, you start the game with of course, X Pence, and then you Drew Smith, depending on who's out there. But again, the key is to try to keep him in front of you. Again, it's easier said than done because he's shifty, he's fast, and he got multiple screens coming at him. And I think where he made his moves, and I don't think so much he beat Drew Smith and those guys one-on-one, but you got those ball screens, he able to maneuver through those ball screens. Then he have your bigs on their heels attacking downhill. So I think that was more than anything. But he did a great job of getting to the free throw line, getting fouled. Then you become passive as a defense. Then he's allowed to make plays. Jack?
Conzo, even in a loss, is there something you take away positively from not letting the game get away from you after being down 21-9, 30-16?
Oh yeah, I mean, we're a good team, but I think the things that things we got to correct. Like X2 for 11, Mark 2 for 11. Those guys are better. And I think the biggest key with Mark getting his shots on the 3-point line. He's shooting for whatever reason. He's shooting the ball deep. I mean, I think he shot 3 or 4 tough threes. I mean, meaning so far off the line. That's a tough shot. And again, shot selection in timely situations. You have to be able to move the ball because you can get what you want to get. I think we were up 7 or 8 in the second half, getting the ball inside, moving the ball. Then all of a sudden, a quick shot here, turnover here, misled. I think more than anything, momentum killers. I thought we had a lot at the rim that we felt like should have went down, and we didn't make them. And it turned the game.
Luigi?
Hey, Conzo, obviously 14 blocks for Auburn. Is that just a product of not going up strong enough and them just being a good shot blocking team?
I mean, you got to give credit. There were probably a couple that made good blocks. But I think more than the ones I've watched from the sideline, most of them we didn't go up strong. We didn't go finishing the ball. We didn't make contact and keep our heads up finishing. Like the one Drew Smith had in the second half, could have put us up 3 with Sharif Cooper on and missed that one. And Javon tipped it. I mean, those are tough ones. You got to have those.
Hey, Coach. So the team had a comeback effort in sort of that late first half, early second half part of the game. What was the team doing right during that stretch?
One, taking care of the ball, moving the ball. And then the second half, getting the ball inside. I think in the first half, we just settled down. And I think once you recognize first, especially in the first half, how fast Sharif Cooper is, he shifts, he's finishing at the rim, keep his head alive, finding guy. We had to settle down and really lock in on him. And everybody else had to do their job. And I think in the second half, playing with good pace, getting the ball inside the tip and forcing those guys to make plays. And then it went from there. And I think we were up 52-58. And I'm not sure what happened after that to watch. Thought maybe a quick shot here and there, a breakdown defensively, and it just kind of spiraled.
Yeah, no, he led your team in field goal attempts, and he can't get every look, but is 14 attempts on a night when he's playing like that enough for Jeremiah? Are you happy with the shot selection?
His shot selection, yes, but
I mean overall.
Well, if you can get him more, great. But the way that they went to a zone, so obviously it wouldn't allow him to get catches. Then he double him down, then that sort of thing. Yeah, I mean you want to go inside to him, but they were really kind of making it hard for him. You have to, sometimes you got to punch it in there. And I think one time we got it in there. I think looked like the guy hit him, didn't make a call, went out of bounds. But some of those you got to just whip him in there to get it to him and force him to make a one-on-one play from the top.
Dave Matter?
Konzo, you always talk about playing good defense without fouling. So many fouls tonight. Just watching it in real time, did you think you guys got away from principles, or just one of those nights where the whistle's blowing a lot?
Well, I think it's a combination of both, because you got a guy making shots, making plays. You got to be consistent, keep him in front of you, make him go to the top, because the whole game plan with him is make him shoot pull-ups in the lane over the top of you. So he was getting to the rim. He's getting fouled, making plays. And then when that happens, all of a sudden the fouls they pile up, and now you become passive defensively. And now you're not as aggressive. But I just thought, him getting downhill, because we knew the game plan. Once they run initial plays coming back to him, he's going to make the play from there. And then you just got whoever's guarding him, we said you're going to be in a ball screen all night long.
Conzo, even with the losses, does this type of game prove how valuable Drew Smith is to your team?
Oh, without question. He's a part of our team. He's a good basketball player. I thought he did some good things. I thought he did some good stuff in guarding Sharif. I mean, it's not an easy assignment because, again, he's down here, he's shifty and all that. Yeah, of course he is.
All right, so that was Konzo Martin after the game. Look, sometimes there's not that much to ask. I'm good with a 6-minute post game. I thought we hit on the key things, and he finished up. Jeremiah Tillman was largely good tonight. 21 points, 10 rebounds, career high 6 blocks. You'll take that stat line every time. He could have had 30, but he was 3 for 11 from the free throw line, and that hurt. And that's another thing when you're looking at free throw disparity. Sharif Cooper's 18 of 21. He ain't missing any front ends. Missouri missed a few front ends of one-and-one, so they could have had 4 or 5 more free throws. Let me real quick, the turning point in that game to me, like I wrote it down legitimately right when it happened. And before I get to that, I do want to point out up in the right-hand corner, Burger Smokehouse. They're our sponsor for these shows. All kinds of good stuff. Grocery stores across the Midwest, across the state of Missouri. Smokehouse.com. They're located out of California, Missouri. All kinds of good dried meats, cured meats, smoked meats. A lot of meat. It's good. Try it. Burger Smokehouse. Go to your local grocery store. Pick it up once again or at smokehouse.com. Also, I'm going to put the phone number up. If anybody wants to call and talk about this, please feel free. Right there, 573-234-4935. But the turning point in this game, and I take notes during the game, and so I can kind of go back and remember what I want to talk about afterwards. And I thought the turning point was very obvious. Missouri was down 4 points. I believe it was 68-64. Auburn had just made 2 free throws. It was out of the under 8 timeout, about 6:45 left. Xavier Pinson comes down the floor, 0 passes, pulls up from 23 feet, and misses a three-pointer. Auburn goes down and scores. Missouri comes down the next possession. Torrance Watson, who has barely been in the game, hadn't taken a shot all night, takes a wing 3, misses it. Sharif Cooper gets fouled, goes to the line, 8-point game. Missouri comes down next possession. Javon Pickett, three-pointer, no good. I mean, in a 4-point game, you cannot take those 3 shots. Missouri, and let's go to the free throw line, then we'll get, back to the phone line, then we'll get back to this 972 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hey, this is Jeff from Frisco, Texas, and I was just wondering if this loss derails the season in any way.
You know what, Jeff? I don't think so. I mean, I picked Missouri to lose this game. I'm not at all surprised by this. Losses like this are going to happen. It's the second of a back-to-back road trip where Missouri didn't even get to go home between games. They went straight from Knoxville to Auburn. I think on Saturday morning when you woke up as a Missouri fan, if you say you're playing at Tennessee and at Auburn, your goal is to go 1-1. And Missouri did. It maybe didn't happen the way we thought it would, but this is not a bad loss. I mean, obviously you want to win every game, but I really don't see any reason to even be too bummed out about this one.
All right, thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, man. Appreciate the call. We're going now to the 815 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Gabe, it's Ron.
What's up, Ron? How you doing, man?
I'm doing okay. Just a few probably unoriginal observations here. I think it was the great Larry Bird who said after a 63-point performance by Michael Jordan, that wasn't Michael Jordan, that was God described as Michael Jordan. I don't think Sharif Cooper is quite there yet, but if you listen to the broadcast and follow the referee's calls, you probably wouldn't think that comment is that off base.
I tell you what, man, that kid is a hell of a player. I mean, like, whistles aside, there was nobody on Missouri's roster who could stay in front of him. I thought Javon Pickett came the closest to doing it probably, but, I mean, Xavier Pinson's one of the fastest guys in college basketball, and he couldn't stay in front of Cooper. That kid he's going to be really, really good.
Oh, yeah, there's no question about that. I know I said it's kind of knocking down a peg, but he was absolutely fantastic tonight. And, you got to give him credit. He was able to draw the calls. We can kind of complain about how ticky-tack they were, or at least from what it seemed from watching it, but he certainly knows how to draw some contact and, find his teammates. And he's definitely transformed that team around. So, good for him. It's just a little it's just a little annoying with the amount of attention, he gets. And it's like, especially when you're a fan watching a game and the announcers are harping on one dude and that dude's playing against your team.
Right. And I can understand that. But if you watch that game, I don't know who else you talk about. I mean, it was the Sharif Cooper show, start to finish.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Just a few quick other observations. Drew Smith, coming off the SEC Player of the Week honors, he was fantastic again tonight.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was a stretch where he was like single-handedly keeping them in the game.
Yeah.
If only some other dudes came to play down the stretch, but he was fantastic. And just the question I have is, like, when do we start having the Mark Smith conversation? He had a good start to the season, but he's he's been off, man. And Javon Pickett, he's played really well these last couple games. I think Konzo probably likes him coming off the bench, but he's been way more effective these last couple games than Mark.
That's kind of what I was going to ask, because I agree. Like Mark Smith, look, if he's going to go 2 for 11, like he can't play, but he played 30 minutes tonight. I mean, if not him, who? I mean, okay, so you bump Pickett up from, say, Pickett played 26 minutes tonight. Torrance Watson played 6. Do you give him more? Do you give Drew Buggs, who played 4 minutes and managed to miss 3 shots? Drew Buggs does Drew Buggs does certain things for this team, but I'm not sure how he made enough shots to average 8.5 points at Hawaii, because shooting is not a thing he does. So my only issue with pulling Mark Smith or cutting his minutes by a bunch is I don't know who takes him.
That's a good point. I think that's probably why Konzo hasn't exactly found a solution there. But given the start that they got off to tonight, and it was apparent in a few other games, aside from the last few. But they started slow, and Pickett's a guy who could put his head down and get to the bucket, and he's actually been a more reliable outside threat than Mark these last couple games. So
yeah,
I'd start him, and maybe Mark could regain his confidence off the bench.
Yeah.
But anyway, kind of a frustrating game. But obviously Sharif Cooper was the man tonight. But they're going to be tough out in the postseason.
Yep. A frustrating game, but I don't think it derails anything. So appreciate it, Ron. Thanks for staying up late, man, and we'll talk to you.
All right, take care, guys. Bye.
All right. Appreciate the calls, and anybody that wants to call in, please feel free to call in. We'll hang here. We'll take your calls. And here's a point that I was going to bring up. It comes from AU Taxman. Watching the game, I thought Pickett played well, but he was minus 16. Hard to believe. Now, what that tells me is probably he was on the floor a lot when Sharif Cooper was, right? And his time off came when Cooper was out. So that probably has less specifically individually to do with Pickett than the game overall. But I agree, Taxman, man, I looked up the plus minus at one point with 2 minutes to go, and I couldn't believe Pickett was that bad, because I thought he played a pretty good game, and I thought he did a better job defensively on Cooper than pretty much anybody else did. But that's why plus minus it's fun to look at. You can draw some things from it, obviously Sharif Cooper being plus 20, yes, that makes sense. But sometimes also it throws out some things that you have to think, you got to look into this a little deeper, because I thought Missouri was better when Pickett played tonight. I thought he played pretty decently, but yeah, the plus minus wasn't good. Now, look, when you lose a game, most people's plus minus isn't good, right? I'm actually going to look up Missouri's real quick. Xavier Pinson was plus 3, but he was 2 for 11 from the floor. Drew Smith was plus 3. Mark Smith, we're talking about how bad he was plus 1. Kobe Brown basically no-showed in that game. I mean, 23 minutes, he was 1 for 6 from the floor, 0 for 4 from three-point range. He did have 8 rebounds, but 4 fouls, just really a bad game, and I'm sure he would say that, and I'm sure Konzo would say that. Kobe Brown was plus 7. So I guess that means he was in the game during those 10 minutes where Cooper was on the bench and Missouri made a run, but I don't really remember him having a whole lot to do with it. He had a dunk in there somewhere, but so plus minus it's instructive. There's some things you can look at there, but obviously not complete. But getting back to what I was saying, the turning point. So Drew Smith went 3 for 4 from 3-point range. The other, I don't know, let me count how many players. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Missouri players who shot 3-pointers combined to go 3 for 21. And yet, in a 4-point game, Xavier Pinson takes a 23-foot shot without a pass. And then in a 6-point game, Torrance Watson shoots a 3. And then in an 8-point game, Javon Pickett, who actually did make one, shoots a 3. That was the least offensive of the 3. But the point is, you got to have the right guys taking the shots. And it's kind of why I asked Konzo, Jeremiah Tillman's 9 for 14. Is that enough shots for him? And I understand you can't force feed it to him every single possession. He can't, other guys have to make shots. I get that. But So Tillman made 9 field goals. Xavier Pinson, Mark Smith, Kobe Brown, Torrance Watson, Drew Buggs, and Mitchell Smith combined to make 8. I mean, that's 6 players. So Tillman was 9 for 14. Pinson, Mark Smith, Kobe Brown, Torrance Watson, Drew Buggs, and Mitchell Smith were a combined 8 for 38. I mean, look, again, you can't give every shot to Tillman, but kind of back to what we're talking about with Mark Smith. I think Missouri can survive a game where Mark Smith plays like that. They can win with Mark Smith playing that way, but they can't win with Mark Smith playing that way and Xavier Pinson playing the way he did. You can't have both. One of them's got to show up, and the two of them combined to go 4 for 22, and I just Missouri can't win that way against decent to good teams, which is what I think Auburn is. I don't think Auburn's a great team, but I do think Auburn's pretty decent. Like Auburn as it sits today, if you play the whole season with Sharif Cooper and you're actually eligible, that's an NCAA tournament team. I think the way I look at it. But again, it's a game I expected Missouri to lose. They played this huge game that they got up for in Knoxville. I mean, if you look on Saturday night at the post-game video of Konzo just screaming throughout the hallways in Thompson Bowling Arena, they put a lot into that game, and they won it. And it's really hard then to come back 3 days later, still on the road, haven't been home, and bring that same energy. I mean, it's tough to do, I think so I'm not surprised that Auburn won the game. And that's not taking credit away from Auburn for winning the game. I think Auburn deserved to win the game. Auburn probably deserved to win the game by more than 6 points, honestly. But, I think Auburn had the best player on the floor. That is clear. Then there was a pretty large gap. And I think Missouri probably had the second and third best players on the floor in Tillman and Drew Smith, in whichever order you want to put them. I don't know. Maybe it was Drew Smith tonight. I think overall it's pretty clear that Tillman is Missouri's second best player. Or, I'm sorry, is their best player. But then, probably the next 3 best players in this game were JT Thor, Alan Flanagan, and I don't know, Chris Moore, probably 3 for 3 from 3-point range, or the guy whose name I'm not even going to try to pronounce, Akingbola, with 5 blocks, So I think you can make an argument Missouri had the second and third best player in this game, but Auburn had 5 of the top 7, and that's really what it came down to. Is the way they played. So hey, gotta recognize the super chats. Call me Biscuit. It gives us one. Make sure JG Tate knows the bunker appreciates it. Yeah, the Commodore. He made an appearance on the pregame show. Appreciate his time. Appreciate all the Auburn people coming by. It's what 11:15. I don't know if you guys are in Central or Eastern time, but I think you're in Central. It's 11:15 on a Tuesday night. We stay up late when there's basketball games. I know Auburn fans are big basketball fans as well. Missouri likes basketball a lot more than most teams in the SEC. I'm a huge basketball fan. I grew up loving college basketball. I think it's my disappointment in Missouri's move to the SEC the last few years has been that there are not enough teams in this league that really care about it. Kentucky obviously does, even though they're not any good at it this year. Arkansas cares about basketball. Missouri cares about basketball. Tennessee doesn't care about it like they do about football, but they care. Vandy can at times. I hope Auburn is one of those schools joining that group that does care about it and does get into it, because I think there's too many places in this league where basketball is just a diversion between football and spring football, or football and baseball, or football and signing day, or whatever. I love college basketball. It's one of the things I really liked about the Big 8 and Big 12, and one of the things I've missed in the SEC is these big games that people get excited about. So hopefully, Auburn is kind of indicative of maybe some more teams in this league and more fan bases in this league really jumping on board for college basketball. So, Let me make sure I put the phone number back up there just in case anybody does want to call in. Again, I'm not expecting a ton of calls at 11:20 on a Tuesday night. I kind of get how this works. But if you want to call in, we certainly are here, and we certainly can talk about the game. I'm going to see what we've got in the comments. Johnny B. Good says Florida and Mississippi State care about hoops. You know, Florida, I guess, but I don't know. It's always seemed to me like, yeah, if we're really good and we're in the Final Four, they're into it. But other than that, it's just football. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm misjudging that. Mississippi State, that's an interesting one. They may care about basketball more than I give them credit for. That's just a fan base I'm not super familiar with. So maybe my characterization is a little bit unfair, but that's just been kind of my impression since I came in here to this league, which admittedly is a little bit later than a lot of people. All right, we're going to the 314 area code. Who's on the line?
Bro, what's up, guys?
What's up, Demetrius? How you doing, man? What's going on?
I'm good. You looked a little lonely tonight, so I figured I'd call in and, rock with you for a minute.
Appreciate that.
Man, Sharif Cooper is a fun player to watch.
So here's the comparison that came into my head when we started this, because I heard on the NFL playoffs this week, like who I think it was Tony Romo said, you can watch Tyreek Hill on film and you can like be told how fast he is and understand how fast he is, but then when you get on the field, you're not prepared for how fast he is. That's a little bit how I felt about Sharif Cooper tonight. Like Missouri understood how fast he was and knew how fast he was, but it's different when you're out there trying to defend how fast he really is.
I definitely agree. He has a little bit of. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Iverson to me. I mean,
yeah,
that's just the comparison that I have. He's probably more of a playmaker than Iverson, but with his slight frame, slight build, quickness, getting to the rack, that's Iverson to me. I'm not really upset about the loss. I'm still on the bandwagon. However, for the life of me, I do not understand why Will Moore was in the game. It was like a walking tree out there, man.
Yeah, that's one of the things I've got in my post-game notes is I'm not sure this was the game to give Jordan Wilmore meaningful SEC minutes, but I don't know. It was a little bit weird.
He got his 2 points, but he gave up about 6. So,
yeah, he was -7 in 3 minutes, I think. So.
Oh my God, that's not good.
No, it's not.
I was just touching base with you, man, because I don't know what's going on tonight. I don't know if everybody's mad or upset. I don't know what's going on.
Well,
but I'm not mad or disappointed in the team.
Yeah, no, I agree. I agree with that outlook. But it's also 11:30 on a Tuesday night, so I think some people probably just watched the game and went to bed and didn't want to hang out with me, man. So I appreciate the call.
All good. Have a good evening.
All right, buddy. Have a good one. Let's go to the 229 area code. Who am I talking to?
This is Aaron, and I shouldn't be calling you because I'm in Georgia, and I need to be asleep, get up in the morning.
Oh, so it's like 12:30 your time.
Yeah. And the other caller just kind of stole my thunder a little bit. I was wondering if there was something wrong with Braun. You might have mentioned it in the pregame, and I missed it, but it looked like he was in street clothes, and I'm thinking he should be getting minutes over Wilmore, so I'm wondering if he's hurt or what's going on with him.
No, those T-shirts are actually Missouri's warm-ups, so it looked like he wasn't dressed out, but he was dressed out because I actually checked with somebody. I was getting a few questions about that, so I checked with somebody at halftime, and he was dressed out. He's healthy. He isn't playing right now. You know, it's one of those DNP coaches' decisions, and he's gotten 3 or 4 of those in a row. I think it's a defensive thing. I don't think Conso trusts him on defense based on, mostly what we've seen earlier this year, to be quite honest with you. I mean, and it ended up that Wilmore had the same problem, right? Like, yeah, he got you 2 points, but he, like Demetrius said, he gave up 6. So and it's really hard to play for Conzo Martin if that's how you play. You're much better off scoring 2 and giving up 2 than scoring 15 and giving up 10.
Right. Well, I guess I was looking at Auburn. Maybe I'm wrong, but I thought Auburn was more built on speed and quickness, and so I would think Braun is. I'm sure he's not a speedster, but I'm thinking he's got a little more foot quickness than Wilmore. So that was what I was thinking. Maybe he was hurt or something.
Yeah, it is. He's healthy, but it was, like I said, it was a weird time to throw Jordan Wilmore out there. But I don't know, man. I guess Conzo knows more about it than I do.
And I trust him. So I was just curious about that. Yep. So now I need to get some sleep. But,
all right, Aaron. Appreciate the call, man. Thanks for staying up with us. All right, so again, appreciate everybody who is managing to hang out with us, and 11:30. If you're still up and you want to talk about the game, that's cool. Let's see, roll through some of these comments, see if we've got anything. It's hard to keep up. You guys have been busy in the chat, so. Breakfast King of Loyola. Hang on. I'm trying to get you up here. All right. We'll go back to the phone line. 314 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Gabe. It's Marcus from the Loop.
What's up, Marcus? How you doing, man?
Hey, man. Thinking more tournament run in just over a month, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess the more I think about it, Tillman's been a little bit more consistent. Drew Smith, I would say over his career has been a little bit more consistent. Is X the key to a run? I mean, that's where I'm kind of going with it. We need that third guy, and didn't have a great night tonight, but he's kind of he's been the key, I think, to making a run through the tournament.
Yeah, you need a third guy, and you just kind of can't count on it being Mark Smith, right? Maybe one night it'll be Mark Smith. But I think Pinson is the most likely guy to be there. And you know what? I've said this before. What scares me about this team in the tournament is exactly what happened tonight. Is if you run into a team that just has that dude, like that type of team wins tournament games. And so with Missouri, I don't know who the guy I look at and say he can take over a game is. Now, Pinson did it a little bit against Tennessee, so maybe he can. Maybe I'm selling him short there. Tillman maybe can, but I just worry that they're a really good regular season team because they're balanced and you never know which guy it's going to be. But if you get in the tournament, man, sometimes you just got to have that guy you got to have Kimball Walker. With 8 minutes left, he says, nobody else is going to touch the ball. I'm just going to go win the game. And I don't know that Missouri has that. You still there with me?
Yeah, appreciate it, man. I agree with you, and I think X is the guy who is the only one that I feel is capable of doing it, and he just hasn't been consistent enough. I think you get a night like tonight where Tillman was good, Drew was good. You just need X to be able to, be in the game late in the game and shoot better than what he shot tonight.
And I think tonight too. I mean, you have to wonder, and I don't know. We didn't talk to him after the game, but you have to wonder a guy that is spending that much energy trying to defend Sharif Cooper. Maybe 2 for 11 is kind of a result of that. And I probably should have asked Conzo that, but it just occurred to me like. If you have to chase Sharif Cooper around on the defensive end, maybe that's just not the night you can score 20 points.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah. But
appreciate it.
All right, Marcus, appreciate the call, man. Thanks a lot for staying up and hanging out with us. Missouri an 88-82 loser to Auburn. Again, it was like we can talk all about it, but it was the Sharif Cooper show. I mean, he was the best player on the floor, and he was the best player by such a wide margin that it almost the rest of it didn't matter. Drew Smith played well. Jeremiah Tillman played well, except when he was at the free throw line. Other than that, Missouri didn't get much. Again, Xavier Pinson and Mark Smith combined 4 for 22. Missouri's not going to win games against decent teams when that's the stat line. I mean, there's no other way to slice it that they're not going to win games in that situation. So, I think that you want to win every game. I understand people get disappointed, but from what I've seen, people are handling this one pretty well. This isn't a shock. You started out last week saying, hey, if they can go 1-1, that's probably a good week. And I think they had a good week. That's why getting the Tennessee one was nice. It gave you a margin for error coming into tonight. Case says Mizzou's projected as a 3 seed in a region with Texas and Michigan as the 1 and 2. Yeah, that'd be. I mean, I guess if you're going to have to face 1s and 2s, that'd be all right. Michigan, I think Michigan's a pretty good team. I'm not sure that's the team I want to tangle with, but if you're in the Sweet 16, you got to be playing good teams, right? There's a long way to go. I think Missouri could be anywhere. If the tournament started today, I think they're a 3 or a 4. I think the range is probably like 3 to 7. They're almost certainly in the tournament. They would have to completely collapse to not be in the tournament. So I think they're certainly going to be in the tournament. Where they go, I mean, we got what? They're 4-3 in the SEC, so theoretically 12 regular season games plus the SEC tournament left. There's a lot of basketball to be played to determine what that will ultimately be. I think everybody's just going to enter this tournament going, we just want to be as far away from Baylor and Gonzaga for as long as we can, to be honest, because those two teams are way better than pretty much everybody else in the country, and that's what Case followed up in saying. Yeah, Michigan you'd rather play Michigan than Gonzaga or Baylor. I think Michigan's good, but Gonzaga and Baylor, I don't know, it looks like almost collision course in a national title game, right? They look so much better than everybody else, but who knows? We'll see how it goes. So, be honest, guys, it's 11:40. I still got stuff to 11:30. Sorry, I still got some stuff to do. Wanted to make sure we did this. Wanted to make sure we give Burger Smokehouse their money's worth. Make sure we made an appearance and hung out with you guys for a little bit. Canoe Man, Georgia Rebel, all you guys that were here on the pregame show with Jay, and you're still here. Hey, we appreciate you guys coming over and hanging out with us. You've been regulars on some of our shows this year through football and basketball season, and you're kind of getting to know people over here, and that's great. We appreciate you being here. Feel free to stop by anytime, even when Missouri's not playing Auburn. And all the Mizzou fans that are here, obviously appreciate you hanging out and being with us as well. We are, once again, I do want to remind you guys while you're here, tomorrow night at 7:30, we do the 573 report. Eli Drinkwitz is going to be on with Mitchell Forty and I tomorrow night. So hit the subscribe button before you leave here. Set a notification to know when we go live. At 7:30 tomorrow night, we're going to be live, and we're going to have Mizzou's head football coach on the video call as well for a little while during tomorrow night's show. So hopefully you join us then. But, yeah, I still got some stuff to finish up. Mitch has some stuff to finish up from this game. So I want to cut out so I can get started writing before midnight. But thanks for stopping by. Buy some stuff from Burger Smokehouse. Go to smokehouse.com. We will be back tomorrow night with the 573 report. Saturday, Mizzou plays TCU at 1 o'clock, so we'll have some midday stuff going on. We'll hang out and appreciate everybody staying up late. And, hey, spend tomorrow at work reading the message board instead of working, and we'll catch up with you.